go, Junior. They already know what time it is.
T-Bug Crawford.
Yeah.
What's going on, you guys? Eddie Hearn comes out and pretty much bashes Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. for them believing that the fight is bigger than what they think it is. And Eddie Hearn, for the longest time, was trying to compare the Triple G fight, Canelo fight, to the Spence Crawford fight, saying it's a much bigger fight worldwide than the Spence and Crawford fight. But as we saw, nobody cared. Nobody bought Canelo versus Triple G3. But Eddie Hearn had quite a bit to say, and he says this, quote, "Sooner or later, Crawford has to fight. He's been out for a long time. It's obviously disappointing for boxing. Crawford versus Averesian is a fight no one wants to see, but somehow he's getting paid a lot of money, so good luck to him." And yeah, Crawford's fighting David Averesian, as we know. He's getting a career high payday of $10 million, fighting in his hometown. A lot of people were scratching their head as to how is this even possible? And then Eddie says, "I've been there before, trying to make big fights that haven't been possible to make. And honestly, they haven't been my fault. Maybe some. So there has to be some reason why Spence versus Crawford didn't get made. I don't know the reason. Sometimes the fighter's expectancy of how much money they should make in a fight is not real life. And the problem with Spence versus Crawford is, and I said it for a long time, to us, to people in boxing, it's a massive fight. But to the general world, it's not as big as you think it is." And there you go Eddie again, saying it's not as big as you think it is, right? And is this fight as big as we think, right? Is it? Because us boxing fans believe this is a huge, huge fight. But in the grand scheme of things, is it really that big? And then Eddie says, "So therefore, the money these guys want isn't necessarily achievable. And if it was achievable, trust me, the fight would get made. Like if the numbers existed, the fight gets made because everyone makes money. The problem here is Crawford says, I want X, Spence says, I want X, and then the promoters out Heyman look at the money and go, we can't do this fight without losing money, and we're not prepared to lose money. In the instance of Crawford next fight, someone is going to lose many, many millions, but maybe they don't care. They're not running a business." And this is him talking about Black Prime, saying that they're going to lose a lot of money doing this fight with Terrence Crawford. But what I suggest is that all boxing fans, Crawford fans in general, buy the pay-per-view. It's $40. It should be easy for you to obtain that, to purchase a fight for Terrence Bud Crawford, to prove these guys wrong, right? And then Eddie says, "It's a dangerous sport. Fighters should get as much money as they deserve, but you can't take away from the reality of what a fighter generates. Terrence Crawford has never done any pay-per-view numbers. When he boxed Amir Khan, Top Rank hemorrhaged millions of dollars in that fight. And Errol Spence has never done any big pay-per-view numbers. And when he did, he had Mikey Garcia as a dance partner and still only did 300,000 buys or whatever it is." So he's saying that Spence and Crawford both aren't pay-per-view draws. And they both really, they maybe ask for something that they really don't generate, right? He says, "So neither of them have proven in terms of pay-per-view draws. I believe that a fight would do good numbers because it is a tremendous fight, but you can't guarantee that fact unless you're prepared. The only person that has to roll the dice is the promoters. The fighters are rolling the dice because they have to get in there and fight. But in terms of the numbers, we roll the dice and we're big boys. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but there has to be a logical decision." So we're hearing this from a promoter's standpoint, right? Now, of course, with the PBC side, we don't never necessarily hear things like this, right? You know, Leonard Ellaby, he's not really necessarily involved with the Spence Crawford thing. Floyd Mayweather seems to be involved with it, but how involved is he really, right? We just don't know. Then Eddie says, "When there's so much money in a fight and the numbers are right on every side, fights get made, quote unquote, quickly. When two guys want it. But when the numbers are unrealistic and there's too much doubt and risk, that's when people kick back on the smaller points." And that's what Eddie Hearn had to say in regards to Spence versus Crawford. He pretty much said that the fight probably collapsed because the guys had expectations that wasn't achievable. I think it's bullshit, right? That fight should have been made, period, for boxing. You know, you never know until you know. And this is a fight that's been cooking for a long time. This fight has the biggest storyline in boxing currently. Both guys are still undefeated. Both guys, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of other guys, a lot of other big fights, minus the Tank Davis-Ryan Garcia fight, which in my opinion isn't as big as Spence Crawford because we haven't been talking about that for 4 or 5 years. A lot of those guys lost already. Different things happen. For example, the Wilder Joshua fight, that was supposed to be a huge fight for boxing, the boxing world. But, things happened, right? But for Spence and Crawford, Eddie Hearn says, look, man, these guys ain't generating like that. Basically he's hating, right? He's hating because the Canelo Triple G fight didn't do well. But maybe Eddie has a point, right? But yeah, man, tell me what you guys think about what Eddie Hearn had to say in regards to Spence and Crawford not being pay-per-view draws. Like, subscribe, Hodge your boy. Peace out.